Welcome to the Superbloom Healing podcast. I'm Alicia, your fellow dreamer and guide on this path of healing. This podcast is our sanctuary, a place where sensitive souls, seekers, and those navigating their awakening can come to recharge and feel supported. You'll find tips and tools to help you on your healing journey. Let's go inward and discover the magic inside of us. Hello, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to start season 2 of the podcast. As you can see, we have a bit of a different setup this time around. We have some video going on, which is a whole other element that I've had to kind of work in here. I recorded an entire episode last week and had technical difficulties. So I'm really excited that it's working this week, and hopefully it will stay working throughout the entire episode this time. But I'm so excited for you to be here with me, and I'm so excited to jump back into some of the spiritual conversations we've been having, conversations about energy work, about healing, and just life. This episode itself is going to be just a little check-in. I just wanted to kind of update you on a few things in my life. Thank you so much for your patience in the last few months. I always take a little break anyway in the winter. I just feel like it's such an important time for hibernation and recovery after a long year. And typically I don't start most of my creative projects until the spring anyway, because that's actually the real new year. But in the midst of all of that, I've had a lot of other personal things going on in my life as well. So I'm just so thankful for those of you that listened to the entire first season and now you're back for the second and have had so much patience with me waiting for this second season. The other thing that I'm going to update you about is that Superbloom Healing, and specifically this podcast, is going to be a little bit different moving forward. We'll get into that a little bit more as we go and have this conversation, but I'm really excited for the direction that it's heading, so I will keep you updated on all of that information. The first of my updates is that back in October, my husband and I bought our first home, and so we've been making all kinds of upgrades and doing the homeowner stuff that you do. I think the last podcast was released in sometime in November. So in October, November, and December, we were spending a lot of time upgrading and decorating, painting, just getting our home the way that it feels comfortable to us. We still have a lot more to do. If you own a home, I'm sure you know that there is a lot that goes into it in terms of just making it the way that you want it to be, and it's sort of a never-ending process. So there's still a lot more to be done, but we've gotten pretty settled in here now, and it's just been such a gift and a blessing to be in a home after years and years of living in apartments and big cities. It's nice to just have a little space to spread out, have a backyard, and a porch where I can go sit out in the sun. It's my favorite spot, and so I'm just so grateful to have that. And a lot of the last several months has been spent on that. What's really beautiful too is I have spent so much of the last several years really healing myself. When I have done that, I've felt myself stepping back into full alignment with who I'm meant to be. Part of that is sharing this with you, sharing this podcast, sharing information, helping you to heal. But another part of that is really kind of manifesting the next phase of my life. And the house was a big part of that. We've wanted to own a house for a long time, and we lived in LA for a long time, so it's really expensive to own a house there. And in moving to Georgia, we really felt excited about this next phase of life. So it's been really beautiful to just watch all of it unfold. At the same time as manifesting this house, I also manifested an office space where I take clients in person. And that's been a really fun and cool experience as well, because up until this point, I've been kind of a mobile service and a virtual service. So it's been really great to be able to have just my own space where I'm able to take clients and help you all heal in person here in Georgia. The next update, and maybe the most exciting, at least to me, is that about a week after we moved into our new house, we also got pregnant. So I'm in my second trimester right now of pregnancy, and this has been such a journey. If anything, I would say that being pregnant is probably the main reason that I haven't put out any more podcasts or any content yet this year. And that's just because the first trimester, you are very, very tired all the time. And so the last several months have just been a lot of me lounging and relaxing and loving my new little life inside of me and taking care of myself and really figuring out how my body works, how my energy works, how my spirit works with another little life inside of me. It is such a different experience than I expected it to be, and I plan on sharing a little bit about my journey because I think it's such a relatable topic, and it's one of those things that you can't really understand until you're going through it. I've had so many friends that have had babies and have been pregnant, but when you go through it, you're like, oh, this is what it's like. Okay. So I'm really excited to share that journey with you. And I'm going to do my best to share the things that are going on in my life on that level, but also to keep it relevant to those of you who do not have children, don't want children, may never have children, and those kind of things as well. I don't want this to become a pregnancy podcast or anything like that, but I just do want to be able to share this aspect of my life as well. Being pregnant, carrying a child, birthing a life into this world is definitely a very spiritual experience. So I want to share my journey with that for those of you that are going through that as well. So far, I have felt like it's less spiritual than I expected it to be in a lot of ways. I'm already a pretty tapped in person, and this pregnancy has felt extremely physical up until the last couple of weeks. And I think that's part of just my body is adjusting to being pregnant. And a lot of women have that in their first trimester. They're nauseous or they're tired or they've got weird pains or there's all sorts of symptoms. But it keeps the experience really physical and really tangible. And just now in the second trimester, I feel like I'm stepping into the more spiritual energetic side of it, of like really connecting with my baby and that kind of thing. Maybe at some point I'll tell you a little bit about the first trimester and the spiritual aspect of that. When I found out that I was pregnant, I actually had a dream that night before I found out. And because of the dream, I woke up and I knew I was pregnant. So there are all of these spiritual elements that I get to pull into this part of my life. But at the same time, it's really reminding me how human I am and how important it is to be grounded and to be checked into this reality. Because ultimately, that being, that baby is already a consciousness, is already a soul that exists out there. And they're coming into this physical reality. So preparing the physical space is almost just as important as preparing yourself spiritually and preparing the spiritual environment for your child. So that's just one thing I'm learning and has been really fun to explore throughout this process. It's also why I sound like I'm out of breath constantly. I've had to send a little disclaimer to all of my clients because I am doing these recorded sessions for them and I literally sound like I just ran a marathon. And so I'm sure that the podcast sounds a little bit like that as well. And it's just this little baby inside me, you know, taking up all my energy and stuff. I don't really know how that works or why we get out of breath, but I was out of breath from like week 2. It was one of my first symptoms. So it's kind of an annoying one, but so the last little update that I want to share is the direction that I'm planning on taking this podcast for this season, and we'll see how it goes after that. A lot of you that have come to me from Substack or the podcast or social media, people that I didn't know before doing this podcast, a lot of you have come to me and you're in a season of awakening. I don't know if you found me from my ego death episode. I think a lot of you have really resonated with that and listened to that. But it's turned out that several of my clients, almost half of my clients are going through a spiritual awakening or an ego death right now. And I find myself having so many little nuggets to share with you about this experience. I feel like when you're going through it, there are so many questions that you have and you want to know, is this normal? Is this how this is supposed to be happening? Why do I feel so alone in this? And so I really want to provide a space for that conversation. So it's definitely going to be for this season of the podcast. I don't know kind of moving forward what that looks like, but I really do want to focus on awakening. And I have a lot of other stuff that is in creation mode right now that is related to this for you who are going through this process. I think it's really important because so many people are waking up right now. We had several waves of awakening. I would say one of the first waves, at least in our lifetime, was back in 2012. There were a lot of people who woke up at least to a certain level back in 2012. And then 2020 was kind of a mass awakening for a lot of people. And that's when my ego death happened, right before 2020. And then we've had a little valley, we've had a little lull as far as that goes. And now on a spiritual level, I can feel people are starting to wake up again. So it's like this third round of awakeners. And those of us who have been through it now can help you and guide you through this process, because so many of us back 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was, felt like we were all alone and we didn't have anyone to help us. So I just want you to have a place where you can ask questions, where you can get answers, and where you can have community of other people that are going through this same thing. Of course, I'm still passionate about artists and creatives, and I think when you awaken to your true self, part of that is understanding that you are a creator. You're co-creating your life with God, with the universe, but at the same time, you are just more creative as a person. So you might find yourself starting to want to learn to play an instrument or write a book or that kind of thing as you step out of your ego death and into your purpose. Many of you want to create a business or spiritual businesses, so we will kind of go into all of that in the next several episodes. I'm really, really excited to just sort of unpack this process with you of awakening and what to do and how to find your purpose after awakening. So that being said, please let me know if there's anything in that realm that sounds interesting to you, that you want to talk about, that you have questions about. Awakening is not just a personal spiritual event inside yourself, but it completely changes your paradigm. It changes the way that you see every aspect of reality. At the same time, there's a lot going on in our 3D reality. There is a lot of war, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of chaos and confusion and hurt, and there's a lot of systems that are crumbling to the ground. Every system you can think of is starting to have a fall, and people are feeling really nervous about it. There's a lot of anxiety and chaos within the collective. And I keep reminding people that you have to have everything come crumbling down in order to rebuild, in order for the next thing to be born. So it's good that these things are falling apart, but it can feel really tumultuous, especially when you're also going through your own personal awakening. So I'm here for you. I am here to help you through that process. And please just let me know if you have any topics or anything that you want discussed. Nothing is off limits. Anything from spirituality to physical healing to government, education, entertainment, those systems in our reality and how to look at them once you're awakened, our medical system, our healthcare system, any of that is fair game. as we talk about what it means to live as a conscious, awakened person in this reality, in this current time. I don't have much more to say. As I said, this is just a little check-in episode for our first episode, and we'll kind of dive in next week to some bigger topics and longer episodes. But I do want to say, if you have been wanting to work with me one-on-one, now is your time. I don't know how much time I will have to do that after I have a baby, and that's happening at the end of the summer. So we really have just a short few months to fit in those sessions for you, and the spaces are already filling up. So if you do want to work with me, if it's something you've been thinking about or considering, now is the time. Don't wait. There will be plenty of other things after the baby is born, and I'm creating so much right now for you to really be able to continue to grow and heal. But this one-on-one time is going to get even more limited. So if that's been something you've been thinking about or questioning, pondering, please just set up a consultation. We can talk about if it's right for you, and now is the time to do it, okay? I think that's it. Stay tuned. Keep up to date on Substack, on Instagram, on TikTok for all of the updates in the next coming weeks. And I'm so excited to dive into some of these topics with you and just really help you through this process and just have great conversation about what it means to be a spiritual being in a human body. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching, if you're watching, and I will talk to you next week. To find all the goodies, book a session, join the membership, or see what's new, head to superbloomhealing.com. I can't wait to support you as you awaken into your truest, most radiant self.